Okay, so Shamita and Nina have passed the Hebert shake test. Their animals are very sturdy, and they've also passed the photo test where they looked up a picture of their animal and made sure that there weren't any other last-minute adjustments and improvements that they could make. So now they're ready to get some acrylic paint and start painting. Acrylic paint comes in a bottle like this. This is chrome acryl, or a jug like this that says Saks True Flow Acrylic. There are also some tiny containers. At the front of the classroom, the 6th graders are using tempera paint. Don't use that. It's not the same, and it won't cover all of the crazy recycled materials that you guys are turning into animals. Does acrylic paint come out of your clothes? No, it does not. Left on a paintbrush, it will turn to plastic. It'll be rock solid. So if you like having nice paintbrushes to work with, you have to wash them, and it doesn't come off the tables either. So who's set up properly to paint with acrylic paint, guys?
Shamita.
Shamita. Who is forgotten a few things? Nina. Okay. What does Nina still need? Newspaper. Okay, there's lots of newspaper. One nice big sheet is going to be, here you go, Nina. One nice big sheet of newspaper is going to be fine. Okay. What else is different about Shamita's setup?
She has water to rinse the brush.
A water container. You definitely need water to paint with. It helps acrylic paint to flow, and especially like plastic will cover well, but if you have anything that has little tiny holes in it, a little bit of water can help get into all the cracks and the nooks and the crannies. What else is different about Shamita's setup?
She has more than one paintbrush.
More than one. Multiple paintbrushes. Big, medium, and small. For large areas, you're going to use large paintbrushes. For smaller areas and little details, you can use a smaller brush. So grab a few. Don't just rely on, and don't just use a tiny paintbrush for a big area. Okay? Also, I want to point out that these are not acrylic paintbrushes. These black handled brushes are watercolor brushes. Feel that. And feel that compared to your acrylic paintbrush. They're very, very fluffy, and acrylic paint is thicker than watercolor. These are tempera paint brushes that the 6th graders are using. They would work, but let's keep these up with the tempera paint and these with the watercolor, and use the green handled brushes that you'll find back here with all the acrylic paint for this project. Shamita wants a tint, which is a color plus white. So when you're mixing a tint, you really have to start with the lighter color and then slowly mix the darker color, or you're going to end up with this much paint and have less control, because a little bit of pink can change that pretty quickly. So up halfway up with white. And what color do you think you want?
Maybe like down the bottom.
Okay, and you want to put some on your palette? Is that something that's easy for you to do with your hand in a...
Yeah.
You know if you need help. Okay, and then put some of this on your plate, and then you can slowly add. Also back here on the card are some popsicle sticks, which are really good for mixing. So you can take some pink and slowly add it to the white and start mixing it up. Okay, so if it's not coming out right away, you really have to sort of shake it down to the bottom and then give it a squeeze. Okay, so if you're mixing colors, guys, like Shamita is, put them in a plastic container. So you can put a lid on and take a Sharpie and put your name and class color on there and put it in the bin, and it'll be there for you next week or next class when you come back. The key is to mix enough. it's very hard to mix the same color again. So for the body of this, that looks like a good amount, mix enough paint. If you're using something right out of the bottle and you're not mixing it, just remember what paint you used, put it on your plate, and what you don't use you can throw away. Sometimes people try to do this. They mix colors on a plate and cover it with plastic. That might work for the next day. Cover it with some saran wrap, but it's not going to last with acrylic paint. You can see this is completely solid and dried up. It's not going to last well for a whole week. Bigger blob in. Ready to start painting? Are you ready to start painting too?
I want it a little darker.
A little darker? Okay, keep mixing, Nina. So what paintbrush are you going to start with in?
Probably the bigger brush.
Okay, so go ahead. Start painting. Okay. And as you're painting along, yep, you got to stop and fill in those holes. Paint covers the plastic pretty well, but you can still see the green through a little bit. So what you can't do is just keep loading it on top. You've got to do one coat, and then when it's dry, you can come back and do a second coat. You might have to, depending on your material, do a few coats. Try painting, like the back of the ear is going to be pink, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Paint the ear and see what it looks like on the cardboard. Kind of paints differently on a different material, right?
Yeah.
So that looks like it might not need as many coats as the plastic. And you might not need to paint the tail at all. Okay? And who knows what it'll be like to do these little forks. Okay? But when that's dry, acrylic paint dries really quickly. When that's dry, then you can go back and do a second coat and get more coverage. If you stop your painting and you want to use a different paintbrush or something, acrylic paint dries really fast. So put the brush in the water. You're washing your paintbrush. When you go to the sink, guys, you're not going to turn the water up all the way so it sprays everywhere, and you're going to use 2 hands. You don't see any more paint coming out, then keep going for another minute or so. This stuff right here is called the Master's Brush Cleaner. It's like conditioner for your brush. You're just going to swirl your paintbrush in it once you've rinsed it, and then it's like little bubbles, and you're going to rinse it out. Okay? And always keep your brushes, once you've cleaned your containers too, always keep your brushes in your clean container, brush side up, so that the bristles won't end up smushed to paint with. The last thing you would do would be put on your googly eyes. You don't have to paint around those little details. Or maybe some other kind of, if you're adding string or feathers or any other little details that you don't want paint to get on, do your painting first and then go back with the glue gun and add those finishing details. Okay, time for you to get to work.